Who's actually going to get the most out of a Fujitsu 55950 Sheetfed scanner? Who should walk away? And does the price make sense for someone who just needs to digitize receipts and a few PDFs on a weekly basis? If you're on the fence, you probably wonder whether you'll be spending a lot of money on a piece of equipment that ends up gathering dust on a shelf. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The honest answer comes down to three things: the type of document you handle, how often you need a fast, reliable feed, and whether the extra resolution and color depth actually matter for your workflow. Let's break down the everyday scenario most small office owners or home-based freelancers face. You have a pile of invoices, contracts, and occasional glossy brochures that need to be scanned into searchable PDFs. You probably already have a flatbed scanner that does the job for a few pages a day, but the moment you start feeding a stack of 50-plus pages, you hit the dreaded slow feed issue. The 55950 is built specifically to handle that kind of volume. It pulls paper at a speed that feels almost industrial, roughly 100 pages per minute, so you spend less time watching the scanner and more time getting work done. For someone who processes a half-ton of paperwork every week, that speed translates into real time saved. Now, if you're the type who only scans a couple of photos or a single contract every now and then, the high-speed feed may be overkill. The machine's price sits above what you'd spend on a decent flatbed model, and the extra features like the 600 Dpi Optical Resolution and 24-bit color depth won't be fully leveraged. In that case, you might be better off with a cheaper, more compact unit that still delivers acceptable quality for occasional use. One of the biggest practical strengths of the Fujitsu 55950 is its ability to handle a variety of media without frequent jams. I've seen users talk about feeding glossy magazine pages, thick cardstock, and even sticky note-in folders, all of which tend to cause problems in cheaper sheet-fed scanners. The 55950's paper path is designed with rollers that adjust pressure based on thickness, reducing the odds of a paper jam mid-run. In a real office, that means you don't have to stop and troubleshoot every few pages, which can be a huge productivity killer. The scanner also gives you a respectable 600 Dpi optical resolution. For everyday business documents, 300 Dpi is usually sufficient, but the extra resolution becomes useful when you need to capture fine details in engineering drawings or high-quality color marketing brochures. The 24-bit color depth ensures that colors are reproduced accurately, so if you ever need to archive a color-rich catalog, you won't see banding or washed-out hues that sometimes appear on lower-end models. That level of fidelity can be a hidden cost saver. Instead of rescanning or manually correcting images later, you get a clean digital copy the first time. Conversely, the scanner's hardware isn't a magic bullet for everybody. It requires a dedicated space on a desk or a small table because of its footprint about the size of a compact printer, but unlike a flatbed, you can't lift the lid to place a single page on the glass. If you frequently scan odd-sized items, like receipts that don't fit the standard paper guides, you'll find yourself needing to fall back on a different device. Also, the 55950 doesn't have a built-in OCR package. You'll rely on third-party software to make PDFs searchable. That's fine for most tech-savvy users, but newbies who expect a one-click scan and search might feel a gap. Another practical element is the scanner's connectivity. It ships with USB 3.0, which on a modern computer provides a quick data pipe. You'll see the files appear on your hard drive almost instantly, especially compared to older USB 2.0 units that can bottleneck at high speeds. However, there's no wireless option. If your office relies on a shared network scanner, you'll need to connect each workstation via cable or go through a server, a small inconvenience that might be a deal-breaker for some. When it comes to software integration, the 55950 works well with Fujitsu's ScanSnap Manager, a suite that lets you set up custom profiles for different document types like invoice, letter, or photo. You can define image enhancement options, auto-cropping, and file naming conventions. The real benefit appears when you build a repeatable workflow. A stack of invoices drops in, the scanner applies the invoice profile, and you end up with a neatly organized set of PDFs saved to a pre-designated folder. The learning curve is minimal. Most users get the basic profiles running within 10 minutes, but you do need to spend a little time tweaking settings to match your exact needs. Let's talk about durability. Fujitsu is a brand known for reliable office equipment, and the 55950 lives up to that reputation. The rollers and feed mechanisms are built from metal components, not cheap plastic, which means they can survive the heavy daily use typical in a busy office. You'll likely see the same performance after